Howdy doody, my name is Susie, and today I thought I would share with you how I make my prime rib roast. And I struggled with making a really good prime rib roast for many years. I tried all kinds of different recipes and I seemed to always be off the mark. It was either undercooked or overcooked. Well, I found a recipe and a method of making prime rib roast that turns out perfect every single time. I'm actually hosting dinner for my family tonight, so I thought I would share with you exactly how I prepare the prime rib that everyone will be licking their fingers after eating it this evening. So all you need for this recipe is a cast iron pan, a couple of vidalia onions or regular onions, your prime rib, some aluminum foil, and then your favorite seasoning. So prime rib is a very expensive piece of meat, so you really want to make sure that you're cooking it the best that you possibly can. And this method also works really great if you have small roasts. This rib only has 2 bones. It's pretty big, but I have cooked smaller ribs with just 1 bone. That is good enough for 2 or 3 people, and this method works exactly the same. So the first thing you're going to want to do is calculate how many pounds your prime rib is, because we're going to want to be able to calculate how long we're going to have to cook it for so that you can time it with the rest of your side dishes in order to serve it for dinner. So it's almost 5 pounds. And so once you've weighed out your prime rib, the next thing we're going to do is we're going to heat our cast iron pan with nothing in it. And I don't add any seasoning to the prime rib at this point because I'm going to want to sear all sides. So the front, the back, and I turn it all the way around in order to sear all sides of the prime rib. And this step is really important in maintaining those juices in your piece of beef. So you want to sear your meat without any spices on it. If you add any spice at this point, when you sear it, it will simply burn. And I've done it before, it sets off the alarm. So I'm going to just simply sear the meat with nothing on it. I'm going to make sure it's seared on all sides. And then I'm going to put it in the oven at 350 degrees Fahrenheit. And then I'm going to time it, and I'm going to cook it for approximately 20 minutes per pound, or until I get an internal reading of between 155 and 165 degrees. Now I know at 145 degrees the roast is rare, but I find it's too rare for my liking. And that gives me a nice cooked exterior. It gives me a pink interior, but it's not bloody. So let's go to the oven. I'll show you the next step. Now you want to, so my pan is hot, you can see it smoking, and I'm going to have to turn on my fan in a minute, but you want to let it sear. You see how the meat is sticking to the pan? You don't turn it until it loosens on its own. So now I'm going to sear it on all sides, and I'll come back and show you what it looks like. We've got our prime rib. It's perfectly seared on all sides, and you can see. And this is really important that it is really well seared. We're going to turn it over, rib side down, with the fat cap on the top. And if you're using a smaller prime rib, you can hold it up by adding, I love vidalia onions. So I just cut them in big pieces for flavor. And this is when I would actually season my prime rib roast. Now I have cooked smaller prime ribs that they won't hold up on their own this way. So what I use is aluminum foil, and I'll show you that step. So just to make sure that the prime rib stands on its side, I just take aluminum foil and just create a barrier. So the tin foil actually supports the prime rib, and this is really important because I've got it at 350 degrees, and I'm going to put it, oops, you want to put it in your middle rack, so you got to make sure you've got enough room in your oven. And now I'm going to put it in the oven at 350 degrees. I'm going to put it in for 2 hours, and I'm going to check the temperature. But like I said, I want to make sure that the temperature reads approximately 165 in the middle of the prime rib, because that is the way that I like it. So I'll be back in 2 hours and show you how it looks. So I've parboiled the potatoes with some salt and just a couple of bay leaves, and you just want it. So this is parboiled. It still has resistance. So that is perfect. I'm going to drain the water. I'm just going to cover my potatoes in a little bit of olive oil and set them off to the side to get ready to roast. So my potatoes are parboiled, and I'm just going to drizzle some olive oil. And I'm actually just using some steak spice. Now I've just got some extra vegetables. They're actually left over from wing night, so some crudités. And I'm just going to add a bit of olive oil, and I'm going to roast these alongside my potatoes. So it's been an hour and a half, and we're just going to test. So it looks like we're at 139. We've got another half an hour. I'll test it again in 15 minutes just to see how the temperature is rising. So I've got about 33 minutes left on my roast. So I've just added the vegetables to the bottom rack. So I'm just going to allow them to cook, and hopefully they're going to be done at the same time as the roast. So it's been exactly 2 hours. Woo. And our vegetables look good, but we're going to want to take a look at the temperature. So I've got my temperature gauge. We'll just put it into the center. Oh, look at that, 166. That is perfect. So I'm going to remove this and let it rest for 30. It looks absolutely fabulous. And without touching the cast iron pan, it's very hot. I'm just going to, so I'm going to tent our prime rib and let it sit for about 30 minutes. So it's been 30 minutes and our vegetables are looking good, but we want them a little bit browned. So I'm just going to toss them, and I'm going to continue cooking them for another 15 to 2 hours. So you can do the math. It was almost 5 pounds, and that gives you a good indication. And I've let it rest for 30 minutes. So I actually would like to plate this, and I'm going to slice it up so that you can see exactly how nice and tender it is on the inside. So I'm going to cut a small sliver so that you can see. Now that is perfectly done for my taste, and look how juicy that really is, but it's all nicely cooked. And this is the perfect rareness that I like. It's nice and pink on the inside. It's very tender and juicy, but it's not bleeding. So this was at 165. If you would like it rarer, then I would recommend taking it out at 145 degrees and cutting into it and seeing if you like it. Oh, and just to show you too, there is some beautiful caramelization in the bottom of your pan with those onions, and this is what I use to create my gravy, which goes perfectly with my prime rib. Next, I'm going to plate this up and I'm going to get my dinner table ready to serve it to my family, and I'm going to see how they enjoy it. There we've got our prime rib, and that looks really juicy. I think everybody is going to really enjoy that. Delicioso. So if you try this recipe and you like it, I hope you share it. If you like this video, I hope that you give me a like. If you'd like to see more content, I hope you subscribe. So let's get on with dinner. Next time, bon appetit. Mwah.